Good morning, Spencer.
Good morning.
We got three great guests in studio right now talking about an event upcoming in Mason County on Friday, the annual point-in-time homeless census count. April, Barb, and Shaena are here. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Great. Good.
Thanks for coming in to talk about this big issue here affecting lots of folks in Mason County. We also know that the Thurston County version of this is happening Thursday, the day before that, but we're focusing on Mason today. And talk to us a little bit. April, we'll start with you. Talk to us about how this all works and the different organizations that are all getting together to try to get the most accurate count as possible.
Well, actually, Barb is the pro on that part, but I can talk about what we're doing at Memorial Hall from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. We'll be open for the veterans to come in to be counted. And then if they go to Community Lifeline, which is what Barb will talk about, then they'll send them over to us, and we can try to see if we can give them some services. If they didn't make it to our stand down that we had in November, then it's a great time to talk to them and see what they need and everything. So,
what is the number, would you imagine, of homeless veterans in Mason County?
Well, estimating over 50 for sure. It could be a lot more because a lot of times they don't like to come out of the woods to be counted, to be on paper, if you will, and they're happy and content out there. Some want to come in. We've
talked with folks who have gone out with you who have previous armed service experience, and from what I understand, that helps kind of break the ice a little bit.
Yes.
It is a easier introduction to this. Is that the case? And do you have folks that are coming out with you?
Yeah, we have volunteers for sure, and there's one that recently has been out there talking with the folks, and so that definitely helps. And we're hoping break the ice and have them come on in. But if they would like us to come out to them sometime for services and everything, we're definitely open for that.
Barb, let's talk about what's going to happen at Community Lifeline as well. These are confidential surveys. The information gets put into a database, but there's no names or anything like that, right? Tell me how this survey works.
That's correct. It is the yearly statewide point-in-time census, homeless census. And we do this every year because it is how the Department of Commerce and our state legislature allocates housing funding to each county. And so we really try and get a really good count during that time, so that knowing that we can bring more housing dollars into Mason County, the more surveys that we can complete and get entered into a confidential database. It is the homeless information management system through the Department of Commerce, and yes, it is confidential.
So when folks are out there, obviously they have, I'm going to imagine a clipboard and some paperwork, and people see that stuff, and they may get a little reticent of coming in.
Yes.
What are some of the ways that you explain the process better to them, that this is important information and your personal information it's not going to be out there? How do you bridge those gaps as well?
Well, I think for all of us here in Mason County, we work very hard. One of our main goals is to build relationships with people, and we just come alongside people. Giveaways are always helpful as well. Tents, tarps, sleeping bags, hygiene items. And at Community Lifeline, we're going to be having an event on Friday, which we will have about 12 to 15 agencies that will provide pertinent services to people that who are homeless or in poverty. We will also be having many giveaways of tents and clothing and sleeping bags. Kathy Haig, one of our local veterinarians who also serves on the housing board, Housing Authority Board, is going to be there doing pet checks and nail clipping, and just a myriad of services. We'll also be serving 2 meals that day.
Oh, wow.
And so folks are encouraged to come in. And we will also have many agency staff members who are familiar faces to people. We're all going to be wearing bright-colored T-shirts and hope that they can identify us through the bright-colored T-shirts, and hope that is a way that we can bridge that gap.
A lot of great organizations
Yes.
are partnering on this. Shaena, tell me a little bit about your involvement on this upcoming Friday.
I've just got and went out and got different donations from different organizations, like ProBuild, Peninsula Credit Union donated some handmade hats. Just different people in our community who wanted to give back. You know, we are such a small community here in Mason County that, you know, we need help from our community to help our homeless. You know, and I figured if we can bridge that gap together as one community, then, you know, the homelessness, you know, issue isn't going to go away, but at least they could feel loved and they would want to come in and to, you know, get the resources that they need or the help that they need.
And I know on iFiber1newsradio.com we have a list of the donation drop-off boxes, but do you have a website you could send people to where they can find out where they can bring it and how long do they have to still donate?
Crossroads Housing is taking the lead on that, and that is crossroadshousing.org. And then look for all of the bright green boxes around town. Those are the drop boxes.
What are some of the numbers you've seen over the years? Have they increased as we continue through the 20 teens here? We've had a lot of struggles here talking about different ways that people are able to find places to live and things like that. The numbers, though, how are they increasing year over year? Does anybody? Yeah.
I have a few of those numbers. It has sort of gone up and down, but with all of the things that are happening nationwide right now, some of the trends that we are seeing we are seeing many senior citizens who have lived in housing for years on a fixed income. The landlords are raising the rents so that they are no longer affordable to them. We're seeing a lot of senior citizens. We are also seeing a lot of people within the age group of 45 to 60, which do not quite qualify for senior services, and they kind of fall through the cracks. Many of them have disabilities that limit their employment, and so they're just a population that is kind of falling through the cracks. Last year, in the point-in-time count, we counted 158 people who were unsheltered, and those are people living outdoors or in vehicles or in abandoned buildings. That is a little bit of a decrease from the previous year. We counted about 210 the previous year. So it will be interesting to see what happens this year with everything happening locally and nationally.
We've talked a lot about different types of donations. You mentioned tents and things like that. Also, we've come to learn that clean, fresh socks are a big key. What are some of the other items that people either may have with them or in their home that they can donate, or if they're off to the store right now as they head down the different aisles, what are some of the other things that they may not think of, but it is because their situation doesn't necessitate that, but what are some things that that would really go a long way?
Yes, and some things that would really go a long way. Fresh socks are always first and foremost. We collect hygiene items, bringing dignity to people. Razors, shaving cream, soap, shampoos, little hotel sizes are the best. The other thing that we're looking for right now, we're looking for winter gear. Oh, yeah. Cold weather gear, coats, long underwear, hand warmers, boots, or shoes that will withstand the cold and the wet weather. T-shirts, basic things like that, so that if somebody comes in just drenched and they need a change of clothes, we can give them a hot shower and at least something dry to put on.
Last year, Snapshot Count found 44 homeless children. Have we seen any indication that hopefully those numbers have gone down, or does it seem like they are also perhaps on the rise? I guess we won't know until Friday, but
We won't. That is another number that Crossroads counts, as well as the Shelton School District, and so we're anxious to see what numbers they capture with those. We have been, all of us, we all work closely together in the community and are all working with the Shelton School District in some capacity, and they're homeless advocates.
Shane, if someone's listening right now and they're on the bubble of whether or not to help, and hopefully we lean that they do, but what are some takeaways over the time you've been able to help with these things, and then to get somebody over the edge, what would be a story you've heard or a way that they can then go, yeah, this is something I got to do. I got to help out somehow.
A lot with families, a lot with children, single moms that are out there with their kids. They've lost their jobs or some other financial crisis, so they had to be kicked out of their homes. And these families have nowhere to go, and so they're sleeping in cars, they're sleeping outside on the sidewalks, and if people could just understand that we're all just humans and that we all just need some compassion and we just all need some love. And just some empathy every now and then, what is it to give, a pair of socks, or a hi, how are you today?
Mm-hmm.
To just build up our people, to make them feel like, okay, I can go ask for help today, and my favorite thing is when I can help somebody and just that look in their eye, just that hug that they give you, that compassion of thank you, my life matters too. That is the ultimate, paycheck ever,
We talked about Crossroads Housing and then the counts there, and then April, you mentioned at Memorial Hall that this kind of a veteran focused on that one.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other services that are going to be available for vets?
Right.
locally?
Well, because we do our big deal on the stand down in November, it's not going to be a huge amount of services. We're mostly going to see if we've missed somebody back in November, and then we're going to figure out what they need. But we've also kind of enticed everybody to come back for the count, because it's one thing to know what they were in November and to make sure they come back in January. So for all the veterans that come in, we have a $10 gift card. And then we also have a little bit of a questionnaire that we're kind of asking them to fill out so we can get more information to help them more.
With all the forested areas of Mason County, I would imagine that would be one of the biggest challenges, as opposed to, walking the city streets and stuff. Do you talk with the homeless about other homeless in the area that may not be visible to be counted, or how does that work? Or do you get kind of an estimate based on how many you're finding in any kind of square mile area? Or
Well,
what do you
it's
do with those
difficult. We do hear about there's camps that you have to be invited to go to. And so luckily we have a really great veteran volunteer that's been homeless and now is not homeless but have worked with them. So for that sense, for the veterans, definitely it's good to have someone to be able to go in there like-minded, been through similar
Sure.
things.
Almost like a liaison.
It really
yeah,
is, and
very
it's really
curious, yeah.
super important. So we're happy for that. I don't know if Barb has more about that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I have been asked to go out to a few of the camps with law enforcement and emergency services in Mason County because I'm a familiar face. And it helps bridge the gap a bit. Many of the folks that are living in the camps out near Shelton come in for our meal program. We have that on a nightly basis from 5 until 6. And so that is another opportunity for us to interface with them and to get them resources if needed.
Friday is the day on January 25th, this upcoming Friday, Mason County's annual point in time count here to get a better handle on the numbers. And April, Barb, Shaena, thank you for coming on and talking to us about this morning. It's an important issue for the whole community at large. And then a reminder, Thurston County's is coming up the day before that on Thursday.
And when do we know the results? How long does it take to kind of tabulate everything? And
It usually takes a few weeks. Every survey has to be entered into the HMIS database, and then they run reports. And so it usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to get those back.
Well, we'll definitely share those results when we get them from
Yes.
you. And again, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having us this
Thank
morning.
you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.